In a popular American television show, an heroic act of kindness was shown. Many of you have probably seen this TV show once or twice, or binged watched all 9 seasons in 2 months. Take your pick. But in this one particular episode, an heroic act of kindness was shown. Jim and his girlfriend were leaving work at the end of the day, and they were confronted by a very upset Roy. Now, Roy was just fuming at this moment. And instead of trying to resolve whatever conflict he had with words, he just kind of cocked his fist back into the attack position and took one step forward toward Jim and his girlfriend. At this point, Jim's just shoving his girlfriend out of the way and then trying to block his face, protect his face, and block whatever blow Roy's going to throw at him. Before a punch was ever even thrown, an heroic act of kindness was shown. Dwight, a co-worker, pulls a can of pepper spray from under his desk and discharged it into Roy's eyes with incredible speed and accuracy, rendering him useless. Jim and his girlfriend were saved, and HR had a lot of paperwork to fill out for this work violence issue. And you'd think that'd be the end of it, but it's not. That's not the end of the story. You see, the entire next episode, Jim is just trying to repay this kindness back to Dwight. He bought him gifts. Dwight didn't want them. He tried to pay for his lunch one day. Dwight wouldn't have it. Jim even tried to appeal to Dwight's ego. Nothing. And this is not the normal characters at all. So why? Why was Jim trying to repay back this kindness to Dwight, even though Dwight rejected him countless times? Why? Well, because Jim was shown kindness, and he wanted to show kindness to others, including Dwight, who technically probably didn't even save his life, just saved his beautiful, gorgeous face. Jim wanted to repay the kindness that he was shown. He was shown kindness, and he wanted to show it to others, especially Dwight. So today we're going to be in 2 Samuel. We're going to see a particular time when David showed an heroic act of kindness to a person named Mephibosheth. Why did David show great kindness to this person, to Mephibosheth? Well, because he was shown kindness from Jonathan, and he wanted to show it to others. As we look through David's experience here in this chapter, and even in the following chapters, we're going to learn one thing from David's story here. That we need to show kindness through the thick and the thin. That we need to show kindness through times of blessing and the times of hardship. So if you would, open your Bibles to 2 Samuel chapter 9. Now, there's no PowerPoint again today, so if you would just open your Bible, 2 Samuel chapter 9, or you open your app, or however you access the scriptures, to 2 Samuel chapter 9. We're going to be going through the story here, maybe not reading all the verses here and there, but hitting up many of the points. 2 Samuel chapter 9. We're starting on the first verse here. It reads like this. David asked, "Is there anyone still left of the house of Saul whom I can show kindness to, for Jonathan's sake?" Let's press pause there right after the first verse. There's a lot of background here that we need to understand and cover before we can fully understand the context of this request. Now, David and Jonathan were BFFs. They were tight. They were never greater best friends. Never greater. Jonathan gave up his entire future for David. Talk about being a best friend there. In any normal traditional sense, Jonathan would have been the next king. But that's not what God's plan was. Instead, Jonathan gave that up for David. He showed him an heroic act of kindness. I mean, we're talking about king here. He could have had all the power in the nation of Israel. but he gave it all up for David. But it didn't just stop there, no. He not only gave up his future for David, but he betrayed his father, the king, to save David's life. That is an heroic act of kindness. And when we come to this chapter here, 2 Samuel chapter 9, David is trying to finally repay the kindness that he was shown by Jonathan to others. Now, as we continue on through the chapter, the next several verses are a lot of dialogue, so I'm kind of to ad-lib them to you to provide a little context as well. David is looking for someone of Saul's family who he can show kindness to because of Jonathan. See, unlike Jim in our story, David couldn't repay his kindness to the person who showed it to him. Instead, David had to show it to his offspring, because in David's rise to the throne, Saul and his sons died at war against the Philistines. So he couldn't repay it back to Jonathan. Instead, he decided to repay it to Mephibosheth, who was Jonathan's son, who was lame in both feet. So in this chapter, he is looking for Saul's offspring, and one of the servants told him about Mephibosheth, and David had him bring him to his presence. There's two reasons for why David was showing kindness to Mephibosheth. First one, because we've talked about, because he was shown kindness. That's the first reason. He was shown kindness, so he kind of wanted to show it to others. The second reason was because him and Jonathan had an oath. Before David left, before Jonathan passed, they made an oath together that when David became king, because it was inevitable, that he was going to be kind and spare much of Saul's family, the former king. Now I know you're thinking, well, David wasn't necessarily being kind. He was just holding up an oath that he had before. I don't believe that. I don't think David, a man after God's own heart, needed an oath to make him be kind, to make him repay kindness to others, because he was shown kindness. But let's continue on with the passage. We're going to drop down to verse 6. And it goes like this. When Mephibosheth, the son of Jonathan, the son of Saul, came to David, he bowed down to pay him honor. David said, Mephibosheth, at your service, he replied. Don't be afraid, David said to him, for I will surely show you kindness for the sake of your father Jonathan. I will restore to you all the land that belonged to your grandfather Saul, and you will always eat at my table. David was showing heroic kindness here. Many of you know, probably from your middle school history class, or from any medieval TV show or movie that you watch, that when a person or a family rose to power in a kingdom or a nation, one of their first acts as king was to eliminate the other members of the royal family, to secure power, and to not have anyone else have a claim to the throne. But that's not what David does here. David's not a traditional king at all. Instead, he extends a hand to Mephibosheth, and he says, you know what? You're going to have a room in my own palace. You're going to eat the best food in all the land from my very table. But that's not it. No. I'm giving you back all of the land that was once owned by your grandfather Saul. That was a heroic act of kindness. David was showing kindness to Jonathan's son because of the kindness that was shown to him by Jonathan. David's kindness extended to Mephibosheth through the thick and the thin. It never fluctuated. His kindness was still consistent to him through the times of blessing and the times of hardship. It did not fluctuate with David's mood swings or his times of success or not success. Mephibosheth consistently had a place at David's table. I think we need to take some of this to heart, to learn something from David's actions, from David's mindset, that our kindness should not fluctuate, that we should be continually showing kindness to the thick and the thin, through the times of blessing and the times of hardship. At this point in 2 Samuel chapter 9, David was at the top of his game. Man, he had just conquered his enemies, and they were basically a footstool to him. He just conquered the Moabites and the Philistines, who are people who, in a sense, were trouble for Israel for about 300 years or so. And he conquered them. He mowed down the Arameans and Edomites. He was at the top of his game, and his family life was pretty good right now. So at the top of his game, in the times of blessing, David extended a hand to Mephibosheth, a hand of kindness, because he was shown kindness by Jonathan so many years before. He extended a hand of kindness to someone who, in a traditional sense, would have been an enemy. So, let's put it into our lives. So when you get that promotion or that raise at work, do you show kindness? When you graduate debt-free with honors, do you extend a hand of kindness and generosity? When you coach a successful youth Little League team, an undefeated team, do you show great amounts of kindness to others? When you retire early because of God's blessings, do you show great amounts of kindness to others? Most of you probably would say yes to any of those scenarios. See, it's so much easier to show kindness in times of blessing than in times of hardship. As we all know in David's life, it wasn't this great. He was not always at the top of his game. He was not always living in the time of blessings. If you read on in the following chapters of 2 Samuel, you'll see that David commits adultery, and then he murders a guy. And then a little farther on in the chapters, David's son commits a sin against David's daughter. And then David's son kills his other son who committed the murder, or committed the sin. Family issues, am I right? But it doesn't stop there. Further on in 2 Samuel, you'll see that David's son tries to start a rebellion and overthrow David. I mean, David was going through some pretty rough hardships at this time. But his kindness, especially toward Mephibosheth, didn't fluctuate, didn't change. It was consistent the entire time. We're going to read here in 2 Samuel 19:28. You don't have to follow me there. These recorded the words of Jonathan's son, after David returned from his battle against his own son. It reads like this: "All of my grandfather's descendants deserved nothing but death from you, the Lord, my king. But you gave your servant a place among those who eat at your table. So what right do I have to make any more appeals to you, the king?" David had just been a part of a battle that killed his own son and ended the rebellion against his kingdom. David was pretty distressed at this moment, but yet his kindness, especially toward Mephibosheth, didn't change, didn't fluctuate. His kindness was the same during the times of blessing and the times of hardship. Can we say the same thing about that? Can we say that during the thin years, we displayed great amounts of kindness to others? Can we say that in the mix of taking 21 credits and doing 25 hours a week of work, that we showed great amounts of kindness towards others? Can we say that when we lost our job and the bank takes back our house and now we are homeless and with our family, that we showed great amounts of kindness and generosity to others? Can we say that when our wife or our daughter or our sister is on her deathbed while giving birth to a son, and then both lives are lost, that we showed great amounts of kindness to others? Can we say that when we had a loved one in a horrific car accident and die, that we showed unforgettable kindness to others? Can we? There was one person who could say that. There was one person that showed great amounts of kindness to others during the hardship times. His name was Jesus. See, even when he was betrayed, he showed kindness. Even when false testimonies were brought against him, he showed kindness. Even when all of his friends abandoned him, left him, he showed kindness. Even when he was flogged and beaten and nailed to a cross with an awful flesh-ripped back against that old rugged cross, he still showed kindness. Friends, we have been shown the ultimate act of kindness. It was not just a life sacrificed for us. No, it was a perfect life sacrificed to save our souls. We have just been shown awesome kindness. We have been shown kindness. Just like David was shown kindness, and he showed kindness to others. You see, when you are shown kindness, you show kindness.